Welcome everybody to today where we celebrate the Friday of the 15th week of Ordinary Time. Today, notice that the Lord is calling each and every one of us here to go fulfill what He asked each and every one of us here to go and fulfill, so that all of us here can go to recognize that the Lord has a very special, unique calling for each and every one of us. When we continue to fulfill this calling, all of us will be able to sense the presence of the Lord Himself, who truly is going to appear in front of each and every one of us when we continue to do the will of God. Today's Holy Gospel, it encompasses one of the most important messages that each and every one of us here should strive to continue to take into consideration. For Jesus states, "I desire mercy, not sacrifice." Notice that in today's Holy Gospel, we can clearly see how the Pharisees and the scribes have been questioning Jesus about all of the sacrificial things of what to do on the Sabbath, to the point where Jesus' disciples had not done what the Pharisees and the scribes have done. Here, notice that they place too much focus on their rules and regulations. They are focusing too much on themselves, to the point where they continue to not recognize the Lord, and that they do not understand the reason behind why they do all of these things that have been taking place. But Jesus knew their hardened hearts and said to them that He desires mercy and not sacrifice. Throughout periods of our lives, we go to do series of activities to the point where we really want to focus on having great well-being, having enough money in order for all of us to be able to continue to live our life. Sometimes we also work to achieve our personal satisfaction, but Jesus invites all of us to go and take a step back, to go to recognize, why do we continue to do these sets of things? We will come to recognize that all of us, as we strive to continue to do these sets of activities, will go to recognize that we don't do it for ourselves, but sometimes we do it for the good will of other people. Sometimes when we go to serve the Lord, we have to ask ourselves, are we serving so that we can love the Lord, or are we serving so that we can build up our reputation? If we serve to build up our reputation, we are missing the core reason as to why we are called as individuals here in the first place. But if we continue to serve to love, then we will come to recognize that the love that the Lord has granted will return back to each and every one of us here. Hence, it is important for all of us to be able to dedicate our time to serve the Lord, so that way all of us can continue to grow in our journey of faith, because we've come to recognize that we can never help with big things unless we start from small matters. Jesus desires mercy and not sacrifice. It does not mean that we should stop sacrificing. That's not what Jesus is saying. Jesus invites all of us here to give our time to others in a way that we want to love other people, Because if we don't do things with love, then we will come to recognize that all of us are just doing things for the benefit of ourselves. So Jesus invites each and every one of us here, as we continue to strive to reflect upon our faith, ask ourselves these questions. Why do we continue to serve the Lord? What is the Lord calling each and every one of us here to do? In fact, how is the Lord continuing to speak to all of us through these series of tasks that we have done in our daily life? Sometimes the Lord speaks to each and every one of us here in what we call holy silence. It's not the original type of silence to which we experience when we go to sleep or when the household is not talking, but it is the silence to where we prepare our hearts for the Lord, to which the Lord is going to open himself to continue to communicate to each and every one of us here. Because all of us here will continue to hear the Lord speaking to each and every one of us here. And it takes time for us to be able to process what the Lord is communicating to all of us here. So let us reflect upon this core important lesson that Jesus has brought forth to each and every one of us. I desire mercy, not sacrifice. Let's imitate that. Let us put that into practice as we strive to continue to live forth our journey of faith, and how each and every one of us are called to continue to serve with love. Thank you to each and every one of you guys for taking the time to listen to this reflection. And for more videos like this, please consider liking and subscribing and commenting down below any questions that you may have about the journey of faith, as all of us here continue to progress together in the faith. Thank you for listening.